I waited an extra day to make this video just to avoid April 1st. You cannot trust the internet on that day. It's funny how many people don't go into the day with that mindset and get completely fooled by absurd things. I am glad though that well guys, I'm shutting down my YouTube channel forever now. Haha, not really, just a prank bro. That trend has finally died down. It's always entertaining to see some actually original stuff. Anyway, no jokes here, I will be addressing some questions messaged to me. I think these are relevant challenges to cover. They're what I'll call limiting factor challenges, because you'll probably end up completing everything else in that challenge category before you end up completing this one. So we will talk about the surprise package and powered down challenges. I don't think I'll be doing a ton of challenge guides because I'm sure the rest of YouTube can do a better collective job than I can. But I had a lot of gameplay saved from when I did these two challenges myself, so I might as well share that. Of course, as with most of my videos, I look at the calendar and see that it's April, and I'm sure there are other challenge guides out there that I have not gone out of my way to find and watch so that it doesn't influence my ideas. But also because of that, I cannot complain that this is the first or best guide, but you guys asked me, so that's cool. I'll try to give my spin on the challenge. First being Surprise Package, where you need to get 5 kills by trapping enemy care packages with Engineer, which sounds like an intimidating challenge, and it's going to take a while. You can't expect to knock this one out in one night just by trying really hard, because it does depend on enemies earning care packages. Simple as that. That being said, this isn't as bad as I originally thought. If I look at my medals now, I can see that even long after I stopped trying to complete the challenge, I have 17 bait taken medals, which is the medal you need to get 5 of for the challenge. I could average that with my time played and say that you will get 5 and complete this challenge in about 2.53 days of in-game time, but that's admittedly terrible science, because for most of that playtime I wasn't trying to get the challenge at all. I didn't have the right equipment and perks and all that. If you're actively trying to complete this in some way, you'll have a much better time than that. You can kind of take that as an upper time estimate. So what are the right equipment and perks? Well, you need Engineer, obviously, and the next most obvious thing, well, may or may not be obvious, I suppose, is the Black Hat. The Black Hat is excellent at taking care packages, if you didn't know. It's actually faster than taking it manually, and the fact that you can do it from a distance is what makes it amazing. As a little side note on the Black Hat, before I trigger anyone by mentioning its name, it got the nerf it undeniably needed between the beta and the full release, making it a little quirk of the game, thankfully no longer breaking the game. It is now only decent at hacking stationary things like sentry guns, guardians, and to some extent counter UAVs because they don't move too much. And definitely, most of all, care packages. It can result in hilarious moments like this one where you take it right from under someone's nose who, I guess, doesn't think you could have possibly stolen it if they don't know that the Black Hat can take a care package. If you are a competent and aware player, you might wonder why someone would ever take a trapped care package, because the original owner will get this sound effect to let them know it has been taken, which can be somewhat quiet, I guess, if there are explosions and gunfire going on. But it's even worse if you use the Black Hat, because they'll also get the audio cue, "Your care package has been hacked." And on top of all that, anyone who happens to be using the Engineer perk cannot possibly fall for the trap. They will automatically be given the option to disarm a trapped care package, and Engineer is a fairly good perk for public matches, so it isn't that uncommon. To be more competitive, I suppose there are more sound-based perks like the Dead Silence and Awareness in Tier 3, thankfully, but some people run Engineer and that makes this challenge even harder. But even with all that working against you, some people will still take the package and blow up. It happens all the time. I'm just talking away here, but everything playing in the background is an example of a scenario where I got a bait taken medal. Sometimes I went out of my way to snatch one away with the Black Hat, but a lot of the time, usually I just happen to run into a care package. Right here I respawn right next to one, change it from a counter UAV to wraps, and then get a kill with the trap 5 seconds later. It's not every day you get thrown into a scenario like that one, but stuff like that can happen more often than you think. Of course, I love recommending Nuketown for a ton of things. It's a small map where if you hear a care package being called in, you have a decent chance at getting to wherever it is being called in. On any map, Ruin's overdrive ability may help you get there faster, or you could even perhaps try Spectre's active camo to sneak through a dangerous area like the middle of a Nuketown to make it to the enemy spawn and to where you need to be. I think most often a trap kill will come from when the original owner knows that you stole it and knows it a trap, but they don't have Engineer, so they leave it there, and a different person on the enemy team ends up going for it and blowing up. Most people don't really care if they get one death to a trapped care package, which is very good for us completing this challenge. Because it will take a while, I don't think you should design a specific class around this challenge. You won't have time to switch to a new one when you hear an enemy care package is coming, so you should just be using whatever you want to use. Just keep Engineer on your class, and if you can spare the points, put a black hat on there as well, and you can run for it when you hear a care package coming. If you're focused on getting only this challenge super fast, you'll probably get frustrated waiting and the one time it happens and you fail and all that. But if you focus on other things, it'll happen over time. There was the final kill for me, challenge obtained. It's a very similar deal with the power core as we transitioned into that. By far the hardest part about it is waiting for people to earn power cores, which isn't something you can really affect. I have a theory that some people who want me to talk about these challenges don't actually need any help and they already know all this stuff. But that if it's a challenge you've been working on for a while, perhaps it's just nice to hear someone talk about it and see some video of it happening. I don't know, randomly being sidetracked. Anyway, in terms of getting enemies to use a power core, of course the idea comes to mind of dropping care packages to enemies and hoping for a power core and hoping you can let an enemy take it instead of a teammate. That would be something I'd recommend back in Advanced Warfare when you need to destroy Goliaths with the launchers or whatever. At least then you could earn the armor directly and call it in, simple as that. But with power cores in care packages, it's a pretty rare drop. I don't think it's a very reasonable strategy, and I would suggest you to play normally. Complete other challenges until that rare power core gets called in, then it's go time. Luckily, there should be other challenge completers like me right now who are running the power core to do the power core challenges, and I will admit a little part of me feels good for helping some people out and seeing half the enemy team flock to it and try to take it out. Just generally, power cores are thankfully much more common now ever since they buffed it, making it last longer and cost fewer points to earn. It was the worst thing ever when you almost had one destroyed and it timed out. Thankfully, that's improved now. Since you can't control when a power core is called in, all you can do is be prepared, and I will share what I picked up doing this challenge, and for once I'll get directly to the point as if I haven't already wasted enough time. I would have a class like this ready. Any LMG is great with FMJ, and the suppressor is helpful to stay hidden. If I were to rank the ways to destroy power cores, I would recommend number 1, most specialist weapons, number 2, several kill streaks if you have them, number 3, an LMG with FMJ. Those are the best 3 ways in my mind. A 4th method would be with the black cell, which is surprisingly not that great, I think. And lastly, as something that seems to not work at all, the EMP grenade. So first being specialist weapons, if your objection is that you can't use the specialist ability when the power core is active, my response is yes you can with the hardwired perk. Hardwired is good for this challenge to obviously avoid the effects of the power core so you can have your radar and all that, but it isn't perfect. I'd recommend having it on a class like this one that you switch to. Unlike the challenge with the care packages, you do have time to switch to a different class for this one. The problem with having hardwired on all the time, though, is that if you aren't super tuned into the announcements and the sound cues, you might completely miss the fact that a power core has been called in and waste valuable time. So I usually don't have it on other classes, but it does allow you to use specialist abilities if I switch to this class. Most of them are great. I tried each one on a power core in a private match, and I would recommend to avoid the gravity spikes and the purifier and gravitate mostly towards the Ripper because of how fast it charges, and it's very good at taking down a power core. I usually use the Ripper regardless, and I've slashed up many a sentry gun and a guardian and safeguard robot in just a couple seconds, and the power core is no different. Next in line after a specialist ability, if you don't have that charged when you need it, perhaps you have a score streak ready that can help you. The dart is great at destroying stuff. It's a low score streak, and you can fly it pretty much anywhere. If you happen to have that one ready, it might help you a ton. The lightning strike and hellstorm missile can do it if it's outside. It's possible with the Cerberus and Talon. And lastly, I'm sure you can destroy another power core by placing down a power core of your own, but the odds of you having one ready when the enemy calls one in are very slim. If you have neither a specialist weapon nor a kill streak, then you should be using your FMJ weapon, preferably LMG. You can really shred a power core with one. It's much faster than using the black cell, which I said was 4th because this thing really puts the miss in missiles. That's what they do sometimes, and it's really annoying. Here is a power core I actually ran into after being done with the challenge, so I didn't really care if I destroyed it or not, just decided to experiment a little, and you can see the missiles missing sometimes if you're not on the right angle, because the place it's locking onto looks like it's off to the side. I moved to the right here and got the missile to connect finally. It's also worth noting that the black cell HUD tells you how much time is left on the score streak that you're looking at and how many more missiles it will take to destroy. Those numbers do mean something, not just nonsense. Now, the last thing I mentioned were EMP grenades, which just seem to do nothing. Apparently, you can't EMP an EMP machine unless it's with another EMP machine. I don't know why. So with a class something like this that you can switch to in case of power core, you should get this challenge eventually. It's frustrating that you don't have much control over it, and it makes for a terrible feeling when you're given an opportunity and mess it up. but that means there's a great feeling waiting for you when you finally succeed. Alright, there we have those 2 requested challenges, surprise package and powered down. Even if you didn't learn anything in this video, if you're someone working on this challenge, maybe it is just comforting to see some examples of it happening and all that like I was talking about. I don't know. That's gonna be it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I can get more going on this channel when I have more time to play with pretty soon, and I'll catch you next time.